Hey guys, hope everyone's well. I guess it's discussion board 3, I do believe. Forgive me if I misspeak. But so our prompt is, after reading the first chapter of Foreman's book, do you have a different view on the need to study philosophy? So, completely honest, before this class and our reading, I knew nothing about philosophy. Heard the word many a times. I just never had the notion to seek out its meaning, or just wasn't something that was on my radar, if you will. So, interestingly enough, about 3 weeks ago, I was listening to a local radio program. The speaker was a Christian commentator and a pastor, and his presentation was on the Christian worldview and philosophy, oddly enough. So this was when we were going through our worldview section, like I said, several weeks ago. He said when it came to philosophy, he said something like, for one, we have to have a worldview. There is philosophy in action, and in order to have that particular view, we have to think about it, decide for ourselves what it is. So that would be the philosophy part. He said it's thought and seeking an answer, and went further and said that in the PH in a PhD degree means philosophy. And I found this intriguing and held on to this as I knew it would be coming up in class later. So I just, looking forward to kind of getting into that a little bit more. So in our reading, section that stood out to me was a quote from page 17. Philosophy is practical and beneficial. Our everyday decisions are based on our overall philosophy of life, which goes back to our worldview and how we decide that. We philosophically think through those things on and we hold, we decide for ourselves what's true based off what we've seen or heard from others. So I think some people can take this whole philosophy thing maybe too far. Example would be like Christians, questioning the validity of the Bible. They can make up questions however they want, construct them how they want. They keep going and going and going, like, is this real, or, whatever, etc. So I think sometimes it can be dangerous and a tool for evil if you're not careful, for sure. God calls us to be wise, of course, but Satan exists there to make some too wise, as we've seen in our worldview section with nihilism, Eastern monism, you name them, anything pretty much except theism, Christian theism, if we're going to be honest. So I think, and he goes on to say on page 23, wisdom has less to do with how much one knows and more to do with how one uses the knowledge. So I think thoughts that are well-intended, have a foundation of that, sometimes, lose their course as you get deeper into the thought, and it muddles everything, which is what we've seen with, atheists, the worldview of nihilism and existentialism, humanism. They've lost their course, and they're too wise for their own good. Like he says, it's how they use their knowledge. They've used their knowledge to kind of go down rabbit holes where they don't really need to go. Some may disagree, but that's how I see it. And then another interesting fact, Dr. Chivers brought up in her video that philosophers like to argue and debate, especially lawyers, which is true. So in my field as a police officer, I've been on the stand many a times and testified. And myself and the prosecution have debated facts of the case in terms of overall crime or charge, and those elements that make up that crime or charge to determine guilt or non-guilt. It's an interaction, a debate between us and them, and of course the defense. And I never really thought about it as being philosophical. It's something that I just did, which, of course, we've read in our book that, sometimes it's just what people do. They don't even think about it being philosophical. So anyways, I thought that was interesting. So I learned something new pretty much every day, and, this past week has not let me down. So I'm looking forward to, how to properly grasp this subject with you all, and hope it opens my mind to new things. So looking forward to reading the others. We'll see you guys later.